She thought she was just looking after 2 kids. She had no idea her boss was obsessed, a previous nanny was dead, and the real killer was closer than anyone suspected. This is Dangerous Snow Day, and nothing is what it seems. The film opens on a young woman heading to her car. Out of nowhere, an unknown figure appears, grabs her, and she is gone. A little later, we meet Maggie walking in to wake up Cohen and Caden, playing around with them for a bit. Turns out she is their nanny, and she is deeply attached to those two, with the boys just as attached to her right back. When she heads downstairs to make breakfast, their father Frederick is already up, greeting the kids and trying to get on Maggie's good side too. But Maggie is not giving him the time of day, and the moment his wife Kristen walks in, she is relieved to have him off her back. The second he spots Kristen, he switches into the innocent husband act, asking how her day is looking. She tells him she is packed all day. He mentions he has an important meeting and will be running late. Soon after, Maggie heads out to drop the kids at school. As she settles into the car, a message pops up from the college congratulating her on her acceptance and reminding her the application deadline is closing in fast. The thing is, she has been putting it off all this time because she cannot bear the thought of being away from Cohen and Caden. Once she is back home, she tidies the place up and then gets on the treadmill for a quick run. Out of nowhere, someone grabs her, and it turns out to be Frederick again, refusing to leave her alone. He tells her he is thinking of using the sauna and casually invites her to join him. Suddenly, Kristen walks in and calls out for him, so he hurries over to her. When Kristen asks why he is back so early, he tells her the meeting got pushed back. But the moment she sees Maggie stepping out of the same place he just came from, something starts bothering her. She refuses to say a word or let any of it show, and instead tells Maggie she picked up a few dresses for her as a gift. Maggie thanks her for her taste. That evening, Maggie is playing with the kids when Kristen and her husband get back from a party. They offer her a drink to help her relax, but Maggie turns it down, telling her she has been waiting for them to come back because she wants to go out with her friend. Without missing a beat, Kristen agrees, telling her to go right now and that she will be the one putting the kids to bed. So Maggie meets Hannah at a bar and congratulates her on closing on a new house. Turns out that is exactly what Hannah does for a living. When Hannah asks how things are going at work, Maggie tells her everything is fine except for Frederick, that he is wearing her down every which way and making her life miserable. Hannah asks what is even keeping her there. Why not just quit? Maggie tells her she is so attached to the kids that she has even put off her master's degree. Hannah tells her, "Girl, you are not thinking straight. How can you be putting them ahead of your own future? They are going to grow up and will not need you anymore." And that is not even getting into Kristen, the one buying you all these expensive gifts. Maggie actually sits with that for a moment and goes quiet. When Hannah gets up to head to the restroom, a guy walks over and it is clear he is into Maggie. Later, Maggie heads home, changes, and slips into bed. But then she hears the sound of an argument coming from Frederick's office. He is fighting with some woman, and suddenly there is a gunshot. She jumps and accidentally steps on a toy that makes a noise. She runs to hide, and Frederick, thinking it is his son, calls out for him to grab his toy and go to bed. The next morning, she is up making the kids breakfast, and before she drops them at school, she tells them to hold on because she needs to talk to their mom and dad. Before she can get a word out, Frederick pulls out a gift they have gotten for her, telling her it was Kristen's pick. It is an expensive necklace, but not flashy. She thanks them, then lets them know she is planning to go to college. They are clearly not happy about it. They tell her they are comfortable having her around, and the kids are so attached. She tells them she is just as attached and that she is not really leaving. The whole thing is just that instead of working all day, she would only be working half the day. And this is not happening now anyway. It is for the fall. So Frederick tells his wife to drop the kids off while he talks to Maggie. The kids keep begging her not to leave them, and she is heartbroken, not sure what to say. When Maggie walks into Frederick's office, he tells her he has another arrangement she is going to love. He offers to let her stay on and says he will bring the degree to her himself. All she has to do in return is finally drop the cold act she has been keeping up with him. The second he steps in close, she slaps him hard across the face. Furious, he tells her she is fired and to leave right now. She goes to hand back the necklace, and he tells her he does not want it. So she grabs her bag and walks out. On her way out, Kristen and her daughter spot her, and Kristen is thrown off. Surprised, Maggie is actually leaving and that Frederick could not talk her into staying. But the moment she notices Maggie's lipstick is slightly smudged, it all clicks. Clearly, she already knows her husband is a cheater. Kristen says goodbye, her daughter right there beside her, and Maggie climbs into the car Frederick once gifted her, crying the whole drive while thinking of Cohen and Caden. She stops at a cafe to grab a coffee and clear her head. Ruth, who works there, brings her a second one for free since it is pretty obvious she has been crying. Maggie thanks her, finishes her coffee, and heads out. By now, it is getting late and she has nowhere to go. Frustrated that Hannah's phone is still off, she leaves her a message saying she needs to talk urgently. Out of nowhere, somebody bumps into her and her bag drops. As she bends down to gather everything, a car comes tearing down the road, clearly trying to run her over, and she only just throws herself out of the way at the last second. She heads straight to the police station to file a report, sure that Frederick is behind it. That is when she runs into Hayes, the same guy who had been into her back at the bar. He listens to the whole car story, but obviously he cannot do much since she did not catch the plate. When she tells him who she suspects, he is surprised because Frederick needs no introduction. He tells her there is no way to bring any charges without proof, hands her his card, and tells her to call him anytime, even if it is the middle of the night. As she is heading out, Hannah finally calls back, apologizing for being busy all day. When Maggie walks her through everything, Hannah tells her she is just shaken and nothing more. There is no way Frederick would lose his mind and actually do something to her just because she turned him down. Maggie tells her she is honestly not so sure. She points out that he let her keep the expensive car he had gifted her when she first started working for them, but this is the first time she has seen him that angry. Hannah tries to calm her down and offers to let her stay at her place. Maggie tells her she has already pulled up to the motel and will be staying there a few nights until she hears back from another family looking to hire a nanny. She walks in to book a room and discovers her wallet is gone. She empties out every bit of cash she has and tells the clerk it is just enough for one night. The room is nothing like the comfortable space she had at Frederick's house. She is drifting off to sleep when someone starts trying to force the door open. Heart pounding, she creeps over to check. It turns out to be a confused drunk who has the wrong room. She goes back to bed. The next morning, a woman out walking her dog stumbles upon a body. She calls it in, and investigators arrive at the scene. By the look of the victim and the winter clothing she is wearing, she has been there since around last winter, nearly a year. This is the same young woman who disappeared at the very start of the story. Meanwhile, Maggie is on the phone with Hannah, telling her she cannot find her wallet and that Hayes offered to file a theft report. Hannah tells her that man is seriously good looking, and if she were in Maggie's shoes, she would lose her wallet every single day just for an excuse to talk to him. She also mentions she sold him his house a while back. Maggie heads out to a job interview, and on the way she calls Frederick. He can barely stand hearing her voice. He tells her if she is calling to apologize and come back, that is not happening. She tells him she is calling about her wallet. He is literally staring at it on his desk. He tells her it is not there and then throws it in the trash. Once he walks away, Kristen comes over, looks in the bin, and quietly takes the wallet and hides it. The new family Maggie interviews with looks promising. The father is respectful and clearly impressed with her. She tells him she was raised in a group home and that from the age of 16, she became the one looking after the younger children there. It has always been her calling. She brings up college, and he agrees right away, saying there is no way he would stand in the way of her future. But then a call comes in, and his entire expression shifts. The moment he hangs up, he tells her he has changed his mind and does not want to hire anyone after all. Maggie walks out in shock. She calls Hannah and tells her she is certain Frederick is behind this. The man has serious pull, and his word carries enormous weight in the city. Then Kristen calls. Maggie picks up straight away. Kristen tells her she found the wallet and asks to meet at the boys' school. On her way over, Maggie spots a red car and stops breathing for a moment. It turns out to be a stranger. Back at the station, investigators learn the victim is a woman in her 20s with no missing person report ever filed on her, meaning she is from completely out of town. The medical examiner's report is still pending. Kristen meets Maggie and apologizes for how Frederick treated her. She admits she saw him throw the wallet in the trash herself. Maggie asks whether Kristen is even bothered by any of it, whether she got the sense that Frederick tried to come on to her. Kristen tells her of course she was upset. He has a wandering eye that has never been satisfied, but he is a good father who loves his children deeply, and she long ago accepted that she cannot change him. So she has chosen to stay, to enjoy the money, and to keep quiet as long as her children are happy. Maggie tells her Frederick tried to kill her on top of everything else, and also destroyed her chance at a new job. Kristen is stunned. She says she may believe the rest, but there is no way she will believe he wanted her dead. The school bell rings, and Kristen tells Maggie to go before the boys see her and run back to tell their father. That evening, Maggie buys a bat and pepper spray, sets the bat beside her bed, and settles in for the night. A little while later, she jolts awake. Someone is trying to force the door open again. Terrified, she grabs her phone and calls Hayes, giving him the address. A moment later, the door swings open and it is Hayes himself walking in. He pulls her into a hug and tells her the area is clear, but whoever tried to break in did serious damage to her car. She tells him she saw the red car parked right outside. When Hayes checks the camera footage, there it is, the car and a figure stepping out of it. The plate is still not visible, but there is an unusual symbol on the vehicle, and Hayes tells her that detail will help the investigation. Maggie also asks him how he got there so fast. He says he happened to be working a nearby case. Pure coincidence. The next day, Maggie takes her car to be repaired, and on the way back, she stops at the cafe where she had cried into her coffee. She had noticed a help wanted sign in the window earlier. Ruth recognizes her right away and is happy someone showed up so quickly, telling her she can start tomorrow. On her way out, Cohen and Caden come running toward her, absolutely delighted to see her again. They beg their mother to bring Maggie back, telling her this is the second nanny they have grown close to who just disappeared without saying goodbye. Maggie asks about the nanny before her, but Kristen shuts it down. Frederick is on his way and Maggie needs to leave before he finds them together. After everything that happened at the motel, Maggie stays at Hannah's place and fills her in on every detail. Then Ruth calls back and tells her she has changed her mind too. The line goes dead before Maggie can even ask why. Furious and pushed to her limit, Maggie storms over to Frederick's office. She tells him to stop whatever he is doing. Just because she turned him down does not give him the right to destroy her life. She begs him to leave her alone. He leans back and tells her it is funny how things turn around. A few days ago, he was the one begging her, and now look. He tells her to walk out on her own before he has security remove her. She holds her head high and walks out. But the elevator is out of service, so she takes the back stairwell. She hears footsteps coming up fast behind her, and she flies down the stairs in a panic. The moment whoever it is closes in, she turns and sprays them directly in the face. The police arrive and arrest the man. When Hayes tells her it turned out to be a thief, she shakes her head. This is not the same person who has been after her. The other one was tall and thin, and someone like this would not be driving an expensive red car. Hayes takes her to a cafe, and over coffee, she tells him her whole story. She and Hannah both grew up in the same group home, which is why Hannah is the only real friend she has ever had. Hayes opens up too. He has not slept since they found the young woman's body. Nobody came asking about her. He is certain someone hurt her, and he cannot rest until he finds out the truth. Maggie looks at him and tells him plainly that she is standing right in front of him, and he still cannot help her because the man blocking her has too much power over this entire city. Hayes tells her his hands are tied because Frederick has not done anything he can legally be held for. Maggie finally tells him the full truth. He fired her because she refused to give him what he wanted. Hayes is both stunned and shaken, but without evidence, there is still no arrest he can make. Maggie stands up and tells him whenever he stops being afraid of this man and decides he is ready to do something about it, he knows how to reach her. She goes back to Hannah's, still upset. To lift her spirits, Hannah tells her she is going to bring Maggie on at her company. The next day, she does exactly that, and Maggie is truly grateful. Back at the station, the medical examiner's report has come in. The victim's name is Ashley. They pull her background and confirm who she is. The next step is tracking down her car and reaching her family, who never even filed a missing person report to begin with. That evening, Maggie finishes her first day at the company, glowing. As she and Hannah head out, neither of them notices the red car parked nearby, watching their every move. The following morning, Hayes sits down with Ashley's mother and asks why no one ever reported her missing. She tells him she barely knew what was happening in Ashley's life. Her daughter had run away from home a long time ago and had always been troubled. He asks about a blue car registered in Ashley's name. Her mother tells him there is no way Ashley could have afforded something like that. She breaks down, saying she just wishes she could have talked to her one more time. Meanwhile, Kristen calls Maggie. She tells her she has been away at her mother's because she has not been feeling well and that Frederick just called to say he has urgent work out of town. She asks Maggie to come stay with the boys until morning and will not take no for an answer. She offers to pay her a full week's wages for the single night. Hannah shoots Maggie a warning look. She tells her to use her head and stay away from those people. What if this is a trap? Maggie tells her there is no way Kristen would set her up. She trusts her, and she cannot bear to think about the boys with a stranger overnight. And honestly, she really needs the money. She tells Hannah she has an idea. Maggie arrives at the house, and the boys light up the moment they see her. Frederick tells her he is running late and does not know when he will be back. The moment he steps out the door, we see Hannah standing outside on the street. She is following Frederick without him ever knowing. At the same time, Hayes is at the auto shop showing Ashley's photo to the mechanic. He learned Ashley was there right before she disappeared. The man tells him he remembers her clearly. She was obviously very wealthy and made quite an impression. When Hayes asks what she had repaired, the mechanic tells him nothing at all. She simply had her car repainted from blue to red. Hannah is sitting with the boys and asks them what happened to the nanny before Maggie. They tell her she just left one day without ever saying goodbye and never came back. As Hannah gets up to play with them, Hayes calls. She does not want to pick up. He sends a message telling her he knows she cannot stand him, but she is most likely in real danger, and to please call him urgently. Meanwhile, Hannah has been following Frederick through a stretch of empty, completely deserted road. She slips along behind him trying to see where he is going, and then he simply vanishes. Heart pounding, she turns to head back. That is when headlights flare up directly in front of her and a car slams straight into her. Back at the house, Maggie tucks the boys in and heads downstairs. She still has not answered Hayes, who has been trying to reach her every way he can. Then she finds them. Photos of herself sleeping. Her breath leaves her body. She takes pictures of every single one of them with her phone and then spots the camera mounted in the room. That is the moment she finally calls Hayes back. The moment he hears she is inside Frederick's house, he tells her to grab the boys and get out immediately. He tells her Ashley was the nanny before her, and the red car that has been following her is Ashley's car, meaning Frederick killed her and took it. That is why nobody ever knew he had a red one. The next day, Maggie is at the hospital beside Hannah, who is unconscious. She drowns in guilt for letting her go out there alone. She keeps apologizing, begging her to come back. Hayes shows up to check on her. He tells her Hannah is going to pull through, and he apologizes for not believing Maggie sooner. He promises to get justice for both of them. He heads straight to the station and brings Frederick in for questioning. He lays Ashley's file on the table and tells Frederick he is being accused of her murder. He walks him through the timeline. Frederick fired Ashley, and 2 days later she was dead. He did the same thing to Maggie, except she is still alive. Hayes produces jewelry receipts and tells him it is the first time he has ever heard of anyone buying their nanny gifts this expensive. He asks why the nannies before Ashley are all still alive and simply moved on from the job quietly because they gave him what he wanted. Frederick snaps, says he did nothing, and demands a lawyer. Hayes lines up photos of every woman who ever worked for him and tells him to sit there and look at them. They were found right in his bedroom. Meanwhile, Maggie drops the boys at school. Then Kristen calls her, saying she has just arrived home and the house is empty. Before Maggie can say anything, Kristen turns on her and accuses her of trying to steal her husband, claiming Frederick is with her right now. Maggie tells her to calm down and think clearly. She lets her know the boys are at school and that Frederick is in custody. Hearing how shaken Kristen sounds, Maggie tells her she is on her way over. But at the station, Frederick's lawyer has arrived and gets him released. There is not enough evidence to hold him. Maggie reaches Kristen's house and finds her in a terrible state. Kristen tells her she is exhausted. Her husband is rich and they have everything, but she has never felt like enough for him. She accuses Maggie of being the one who turned him against her. Maggie tells her to think clearly. She is the one who pushed back and refused him. She is also the one who searched the house and found those photos and turned him in. Kristen spins on her, furious, asking how she dared search the house. She tells Maggie she was wrong to ever trust her, and that no matter what, she would never allow the father of her children to end up behind bars. Then Frederick walks in. He tells Maggie those photos are not enough to put him away. He shouts at Kristen to go upstairs to her room. She actually goes, terrified. He steps closer to Maggie and tells her she has destroyed his reputation, that he never should have put up with her as long as he did. He smashes a vase. She runs, but he grabs hold of her, telling her he is not letting go and is going to finish her. Then Kristen, as if snapping out of a trance, strikes him from behind and he drops to the floor. At the same moment, Hayes is calling Maggie, trying to warn her. Frederick has been released and there is no way he is going to leave her alone. But here is the twist none of them saw coming. Kristen knocked Maggie out too. When the two of them come around, they are both tied up. Kristen stands over them and tells them they ruined everything. She tells them Ashley was a simple little game for her. Frederick stares at his wife, realizing for the first time that she is the one who killed Ashley. The truth comes pouring out of her. She got tired of Frederick treating her like a bad mother, always bringing in someone new to look after her children. But the last time, he brought in a beautiful young woman, and Kristen watched the way he could not stop looking at her. She thought she had struck gold when she turned him against Ashley and got her fired. What she did not know was that he could not get Ashley out of his head. He was even calling out her name. So Kristen decided to get rid of Ashley for good. But then Frederick turned around and hired someone else. Someone even more beautiful, Maggie. Frederick manages to work himself free, but Kristen lunges for a knife and stabs him on the spot. Maggie has also broken free. She grabs a small dumbbell, and the moment Kristen comes at her, she swings and takes her down. Hayes bursts through the door at that exact moment and pulls Maggie into his arms. Kristen is led away in handcuffs. Hayes tells Maggie they found Ashley's car parked in the back garage. Frederick did not survive. Hayes is still mid-sentence, telling her how he feels about her, when she simply leans in and kisses him. He pulls back slightly and tells her he was actually about to do exactly that, but she beat him to it. A few days later, Maggie and Hayes are with the boys. She tells them she is going to stay with them until a new family is found to take them in, because she is leaving for college in the fall. Hannah calls from the hospital and tells her she will be released soon. The man who had wanted to hire Maggie as a nanny also calls. He apologizes, telling her he had no idea how far gone Frederick's family was, and offers her the job again if she still wants it. Maggie looks over at the boys, then tells him no, she is done with that line of work. She hangs up and goes back to spending the rest of the day with them.